It's every footballer's dream to represent his or her country on the biggest stage in footballing history. Regrettably, these 7 players will not get this opportunity, not because their coach didn't select them, but simply because of injury. Paul Pogba is the first on our list. I mean, he was voted the best young player in World Cup 2014, and he's going to miss this year's World Cup due to a knee and thigh injury. It seems for the last 2 years or so, Pogba has struggled to be fit, and unfortunately this time he wasn't able to get fit in time. He was a fundamental piece in Deschamps' midfield during the France 2018 World Cup run, which saw them crowned world champions. Alongside him, the absence of N'Golo Kante at this year's World Cup is going to be a massive blow for France. I mean, he's well respected globally for his excellent ability to marshal the midfield. He's at the right place at the right time, and he provides excellent coverage for defenders. I mean, he's like a defender's best friend in any football team. But with him not being able, due to being sidelined with a hamstring injury for months, Deschamps is going to have to now pull on either Guendouzi, Camavinga or Tchouaméni. I might pronounce that wrong, but he's going to have to rely on one of those young guys to fill that gap, and we're going to see how that's going to play out. Another youngster from France blazed a trail last year while at Marseille, upped his stock on the transfer market and found a move into the Premier League on a free transfer during the summer. That's Kamara. He also made an imprint on Deschamps and was in his plans for the national team, but he had an injury to his knee, and damaged his knee ligament. So he's also going to be out for this World Cup, and that's kind of sad for a youngster. That's literally one of your dreams, one of your goals, to play in the World Cup. Another player who is going to suffer a similar fate is Timo Werner. Now, just when he thought his worst days were behind him, he picks up an injury a week before the national squad was to be announced. I mean, go figure. And his coach, the Germany's coach I should say, Hansi Flick, had this to say: "This piece of news is extremely bitter. I feel very bad for Timo, personally, because he will miss the World Cup, which he desperately wanted to play in. But especially for the team, it is a big loss." Now, many of you who may not realize what he's been doing since his move back to RB Leipzig may be wondering, what's Flick talking about? But let's put it in context. Since leaving Chelsea, Werner has scored 4 goals in 9 games with 1 assist, which when compared with, let's use the most recent Ballon d'Or winner, who has 5 goals in 7 games with 1 assist, you can see that he's been trending in the right direction since he's left Chelsea. And so you understand the value that he would bring to that German side this World Cup. Now, another player that many may not be familiar with or may have forgotten is Senegal's Bouna Sarr. Most of you may be more familiar with Sadio Mane for Senegal, but Bouna Sarr has been injured for quite some time now, and he's a fundamental, I think he's a critical player to the team. I mean, he only played 5 matches for Bayern Munich last year, and he played all 7 games during the AFCON tournament earlier this year. So that must show you, even for him, he prioritized playing for his country over his club. And so you must understand, if he played all 7 games, which they won AFCON by the way, that just shows you his importance. He's a right back, and you may have realized I said he plays for Bayern Munich, so he's also Sadio Mane's club mate as well as country mate. So that's also pretty interesting. And even for Senegal, they had a little scare with Sadio Mane, though some still believe he's not really fit, but he has been included with the squad for World Cup. So though it was being said that he was initially ruled out, we may see Sadio Mane actually suit up and play ball this World Cup. Now, we have the Mexican giants here, or I should say the CONCACAF giants. I mean, Mexico dominates CONCACAF along with the USA. But out from CONCACAF, Mexico has done the best in representation there for the last, probably since 1994 World Cup. They've made it through the group stage for every World Cup since then, and they have had a history with the World Cup even from the beginning. And for this side, they're going to be without Jesus Corona. He made a move from Porto to Sevilla, picked up an ankle injury, which picked up the ankle injury in August, and he has had a surgery since. He's made 71 appearances for Mexico, and though he's not a goal machine, producing only 10 goals over that stretch, he's clearly a fundamental player for the squad, having been a staple in the side since 2014. Now, another player for Mexico who was a doubt was Raul Jimenez, and we may be familiar with him from Wolves. He had that scary injury last year, that head injury. He's been back, but he hasn't really been himself of late, and he picked up a groin injury early in the season, in August to be exact. And the coaching staff for Wolves, they don't believe that he's ready. And coach, I can't pronounce his name, guys, forgive me, Lopetegui. I'm presuming that's a Spanish name, but for those of you who know, peace. And he said he's not fit in this moment. He hasn't played any minutes for 2 months. So the coach has doubts, but Mexico, understanding his value to the team, I mean, he's the joint 7th top goal scorer for Mexico of all time. I think it's 30 goals he's had. They put him 8 if you do a list, but there's another player just above him, I'm not remembering, also at 30 goals. And so he's critical to this team. So he's gonna be there. They're gonna carry him, and that's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out with him not having played any minutes thus far. And just a little trivia about Mexico. We all know about the Mexican wave, which was created in Mexico, but what many of you may not know, Mexico was the first nation from which a penalty was scored in World Cup tournament in 1930. So the first ever penalty to be scored in a World Cup tournament in 1930 was by a Mexican on the Mexican national team. Right, so we expect great things from Mexico in the World Cup CONCACAF representative. Just another player we want to highlight before we close out is Miles Robinson. Now he's from the USA, so he's on the US men's national team. This is another big team from CONCACAF, but they're not as successful in the World Cup tournament, but they're hoping to change their fortunes this time around. Now, they won't have him. He's their first choice centre back, and he's been ruled out since May. He ruptured his Achilles tendon on a non-contact play. Now, he's only had 21 appearances, so that should tell you that he's really made an impression on this US team, and he has cemented his role in this team. So the coach has said that they are devastated for Miles. He had established himself as a top performer throughout last year and World Cup qualifying. We will be thinking of him and wishing him a successful recovery process. Now, just to kind of cement the impact that he's had in just 21 appearances in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, he scored a decisive goal to lift the trophy. And you remember me talking about them and Mexico being the 2 top teams from CONCACAF? That decisive goal was against Mexico in the final. So that's going to be a big hit for the US men's national team going into the World Cup, but they're hoping they can work around it. Now, some other notable players who are going to miss that many of you probably heard already. We have Diogo Jota, we have Gini Wijnaldum. Most recently, as in like over the last 2 days this week, Nkunku. And I see people wilding out about the tackle Camavinga made on him, like it's really not that serious. Like, I saw the video myself, and it was pretty much a 50-50 ball, and it happens. Like, it's just unfortunate that it turned out to be an injury that's going to sideline him, but it wasn't a malicious tackle like how some people are going on. And for that to generate racist abuse or racist attacks on Camavinga for that, it's kind of strange because Nkunku is also black. But we don't really expect people who are promoting or pursuing racism to have really much up top in the brain, right? We have Mikel Oyarzabal from Spain. He's not going to be at the World Cup. Reece James, Mike Magnan, that's another French player. I know I butchered that name. Pedro Neto, Also missing Ricardo Pereira from Leicester City, for those who may have forgotten, and Tariq. I want to say your last name, but I'm going to save the embarrassment. He's from Morocco. He's also going to be out. So, guys, it's going to be challenging for a lot of countries with all these injuries that have been happening, and there are going to be injuries even during the tournament. Hopefully not. I'm praying for those guys. But the World Cup is only a few days away. We're excited for the World Cup. We can't wait, despite all the political drama that's going on between Qatar and the LGBTQ community and every other political thing that has suddenly found its way into football, ironically. We're hoping that none of that is going to mess up the tournament for those who are just purely for the love of the sport, and that we have a really competitive one with loads of goals. So let me know who you're hoping is going to win. If there was another player that's injured that you think I should have mentioned, let me know in the comments. Until next time, guys, peace.